Ladies and gentlemen,
everybody wants the prize, but nobody wants to pay the price.
Can they be pushed? Do they have a sense of urgency? Do they want to be great?
And then, of course, you look at them and be like, yeah, right.
Everybody wants to be on your team when you're on top.
I saw the angel and the marble, and I carved until I set him free.
Go be somebody, bro.
But the most important part of the Be Somebody journey is the resilience.
Welcome to the Be Somebody Podcast, your real and raw destination for all things entrepreneurship, leadership, and culture, with your host, Kash Shaikh, and our CEO and founder of Be Somebody Inc. and BSB Group International, Kash Shaikh. Welcome to episode 5 of the Be Somebody Podcast. A big shout out to all of our listeners and subscribers. I'm your co-host, Kash Shaikh, with our founder and CEO of Be Somebody Inc. and BSB Group International, Kash Shaikh. Kash, what's going on today,
What's
brother?
going on, man? I thought you were going to start bringing it down a notch, man. I thought from episode 3 to 4, like it was going to be going down.
Higher and higher, man.
Keep
We
going
gotta
up,
go higher and higher. But
We're in trouble another like 5-10 episodes.
We're going to need some earplugs.
all right. But bro, what's going on with the hat? I haven't seen you wear that since like an Astros game.
Well, first of all, I got to represent loyalty is a value. Loyalty is a value. You got to represent H-Town and the Astros. I have to admit, Vikas, that this hat is not because of that. It's a disguise. It's a cover-up, man, because I had a friend who I will not name.
Man.
That's been in my isolation cell, by the way. That's been in my isolation cell, so I'm not violating social distancing principles. And try to cut my hair, man, because my hair has been going crazy since we haven't been able to do anything. And that friend of mine, like, did not do a good job, man. So
you gonna show us or no?
No, I'm not. It's like I'm just gonna give you that. That's it.
That's
it's
it.
Like,
That's all we get. That's
it's
a glimpse.
short. It's short. It's like clunky, you know. And the thing that trips me out, man. Because here's the thing I learned. Because look, I moved from Houston to Austin to Cincinnati, then to San Francisco, then back to Austin, then to Boston, then Cincinnati, and then I had 4 stints overseas. And the first thing when I got into after I got my apartment or my house, whatever, got everything situated, got the stuff moved in, my first thought turned to, where do I get my hair cut?
Yep.
Right? Where do I get my hair cut? It's like such an essential thing. And I'm just like shocked that the barber is not an essential business.
I feel your pain, man. I feel your pain. I had to actually go back and start cutting my hair after I did it in college after so long, and I was like, "What are we doing?"
Dude, but your hair is magical, bro. Your hair belongs in a museum.
I'm feeling really left out of this hair
Herbie, Herbie, you ain't feeling it. You know what I mean?
I don't have the same problem you guys have. So.
You got it easy.
My hair is thinning on the back though, but I tell Josh, who's our head of videography, I'm like, man, just don't shoot me from the back.
Just one rule.
Don't shoot me from the back. I mean, because I don't want to, I don't care if other people see it. I just don't want to be reminded of it. I don't want to be reminded of it every time. So, we need to put in a petition to make barber salons, barbershops, essential business.
Shout out to all the barbers, all the hairstylists, man. We respect what you do, your craft, and yeah, wish you guys.
Let me see, because I've been trying to text my boy. Text my barber from Boston, Davey.
Yeah.
Every time I go over there, he'd be like, Kash, welcome to the barber shop.
There you go. There you go.
But no, I was trying to get him on. We're gonna get Davey on the show. He's like the most inspirational barber, that you could ever meet. So we're gonna get him
like
on.
a haircut, little 101 or something for everyone. Right?
Well, I mean, just think about me there. I want to actually see how he's doing because they've been at home, and they work off obviously being at the shop and tips and things like that. So I mean, there's so many people that have been affected by this pandemic, the stay-at-home orders, just everything, which we know we need to do for safety, but it's crazy when you think about it.
Yeah. I mean, this has shifted everyone's life during this pandemic. There's been a little glimpse of excitement, I know, for our company specifically, and for others as well, as things. There's a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. But let's talk a little bit about some updates at our company that we've had this week, because it's a little exciting. I think it's something we should share with our listeners.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully some of you guys, first of all, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for subscribing.
Yes.
It's been cool to see the subscriber count continue to grow and been getting a lot of messages and positive feedback, so thank you. But yeah, this week we announced the formation of BSB Group International. We referenced it a bit on the show because we created it a little bit ago. But we just announced BSB Group International, our official end-to-end growth agency that that works on growth strategy and services for Fortune 500 companies and fast-growing startups and private equity-backed companies around the world, which has been pretty exciting. It's the evolution of what we've become at Be Somebody. And what I was really excited about is we also announced that Be Somebody was going back to our roots as a content platform.
Yes.
You all know that we started as a blog. If you haven't heard the whole story, episode 1 is a quick
Go check it
summary of the story, a 45-minute summary of the story, but which is a quick one if you heard it.
Very quick one. Yeah.
But we started as a blog and we created a lot of content. Now we're back, and this podcast hopefully is the beginning of a lot of digital programming and content that we put together for everybody. So that
exciting.
was really cool. So it's been, we talked about it in the context of Shark Tank because, 3 years later, we were able to build something pretty special. And I said it in one of my quotes in one of the media articles is that the secret and the lesson is just keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going, keep working, keep believing. And, you can get to somewhere special. What I was the most excited about was that, to commemorate that milestone, we decided to do a couple of things to try to help companies that are that have been affected by coronavirus, especially on the economic side. We said, number one, we're going to offer our BSB Group International Services pro bono to a handful of companies, most likely all in the Cincinnati area. But to be honest, I've been getting messages from companies outside of Cincinnati. So we may expand it. We're coming up with the full criteria. We already got a couple brands that are in the mix that hopefully we'll talk about later on one of our shows that we're going to be supporting to try to help them. And these are companies that had to, that had most of their distribution cut. They had to lay off parts of their teams. That had to go dark on marketing. That lost vendors and customers, things like that. So they're really in the throes of this battle against coronavirus and everything that's happened. So we're going to be helping them, which I'm really excited about, pro bono. And I told some of the CEOs because they were like, well, there's no guarantee that we're going to work with you in the future. There's no guarantee this is going to turn into business. I was like, honestly, 100% understand and agree that there shouldn't be. This is just about let's help each other. We're all in this together. Let's try to help each other, and hopefully we do something great. And if we can have a nice fourth quarter comeback, then it's a win for everybody. And if not, then let's at least leave it all on the floor. So that's what we said. And then the second thing is we're hiring. We said, you know what? We're going to ramp up our hiring. Most people are not hiring right now, right? Unless you're a grocery store, delivery drivers, things like that, because you want to be careful with your cash in hand and cash outlay, like we talked about in episode 3. But we said we're going to, take a step forward and be a little bold, and we want to expand our team. Mostly for marketers and content creators, creatives that have lost their jobs, because a lot of people, like I said, have a lot of companies that stopped doing marketing. So a lot of people, I see it on my LinkedIn feed, people have been letting go. I saw data scientists and software engineers all day on my LinkedIn feed from startups being let go through no fault of their own. Right. And then photographers, videographers, a lot of those freelancers that used to have events or weddings and things like that, they're all been canceled.
All of them.
So, we want to help them. And to be honest, I guess the somewhat selfish part of it for myself, at least, is that, man, I think there's a lot of talented people out there right now.
Oh, yeah.
That are looking for opportunity. And I want to double down on that opportunity to bring in some great people to our company. Make all of you guys nervous. Be like, hey, we brought some freaking all-stars on board, so let's go. So yeah, man, a lot of exciting news, a big milestone for our company that we're grateful for. It just means we kept going, but very, very, very excited and grateful to be able to help some folks out during this tough time.
Yeah, when you shared the news with our team, I immediately went back to how this all started was help each other, helping others, following your passion. And the part that really connects with me is the freelancer part of it, the people that were contracted work, like you said, the events, the creatives that were just doing work on their own with different companies and being able to help them. It's just awesome to hear. Yeah.
And Josh, you lived that life before, right? As a videography freelancer.
Right before I got here, literally just hustling every day, every week, hoping something popped up. And if not, I was on the Amazon route, Uber, it just randomly. You just never know what you're going to get. But thanks, Kash. Got me out the game.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Hey, man. Those are people we want to help.
Yeah.
And I think that hopefully throughout the next few weeks, few months on the podcast, we'll start telling some of the stories of the businesses that we're working with, as well as the people that we brought on. Because what we should do is probably do it live on the podcast. I was thinking about, because you guys know I'm so like maniacal about our hiring process. Like it's like a symphony, like military operation between like orchestra and military, something like that. And we have everybody meet all these people, and it's all timed and all that. But so how are we going to do it? I was thinking that we have a process that starts with kind of like almost speed dating on Google Hangout with multiple members of the team.
Just boom, boom, boom.
And then like they stay there, they call in, and people keep popping up, and then ask them questions, and then we do kind of almost like a virtual town hall where I can come on to all the top candidates and share who we are, why we do what we do, our values, our principles, our MO, and then after that, give them opportunity to kind of present to all of us. We're 17, so 20 people, whatever, on the phone, listen to them, which would be cool. So, and I think we should I want to document it no matter what, but maybe put on the podcast, because that would be really awesome to see how we do it, and we see who can hang.
All right. Well,
what's the first question on a BSB or Be Somebody job application?
Do you want to be great?
Yep.
Do you want to be great? And if they say yes, we actually ask them to define greatness, because it's personal to people. We have them define it, and then me personally, and I hope all of you, we hold them accountable to that bar that they set for themselves, because we say one of our principles is do great work. If they say no, then we have them linked to another agency's website, which I'm not gonna tell you which one, but I mean, hey, we say, hey, the competition is probably better for you if you don't want to be great. That's what we do, but. Cool, man. So we got an awesome guest today on the show. I'm excited because it's a local entrepreneur.
Yeah, great story.
Who has a great story, great personal journey. Who's in the alcohol and spirits industry, and that industry is kind of having this polarizing experience right now, because if you think about what's happening, a lot of people are buying groceries. A lot of people, firearm sales are up. Just looking at the data, right? Health and wellness type products sales are up. The other thing that's up is alcohol sales. I'm just looking at the numbers. Alcohol sales up 55% in March compared to a year ago.
Wow. Ready
to drink cocktails. And I don't drink that. Ain't me. But I know it's some of y'all, the White Claws of the world, right? Some meat, nap,
seltzers.
So those are up 106%.
Wow,
jeez,
from this time a year ago. And what's crazy is the beer sales in America have been steadily declining with all these alternate options. But beer sales, in terms of the large packs of beer, the 24, the cases, basically, the cases of beer, the 24 and the 30, those are up 90%.
People are stocking
from a year ago. So people are not only just stockpiling toilet paper and sanitizer and food, they're stockpiling beer, which, that's another whole conversation because we want people to have healthy habits. But it's interesting because on that side, the business is growing when you look at the data, and we'll see how long that goes. But for people that obviously have establishments where they're having people come as restaurants or bars, they're obviously hurting. And I believe that actually people who haven't been, or businesses that haven't been able to optimize the delivery of that alcohol are hurting as well. But I do believe there's an opportunity right now, and obviously we're an entrepreneurship-led podcast. So we say, hey, we're in a crisis, but what's the business opportunity that we have here? Yep. So for some businesses are going to come out stronger than ever, and some aren't going to come out of this. And we want to do all we can to help the people, help most of them come out of it.
Yeah.
But this is a great guest, man. So I'm gonna let you do what you do.
Yep, let's do it. Let's welcome a leader who started pursuing a career in archaeology. Yes, archaeology. And then went on to start brewing beer at home and spent 3 years as the vice president of brewing at Christian Moerlein Brewing Company, and is now the co-founder, master brewer, and distiller for Karrikin Spirits. Please welcome Eric Baumann. Nap, we got him on the line.
On the line.
I'm here, man.
Hey, Eric, how does it feel, man, when Vikas gives you that intro? Like, what type of surface would you like to run through, you know?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I feel like I'm about to, like, go into a boxing match.
Exactly.
Right,
hey,
go.
Hey, good. I mean, we're elevating because, see, a couple episodes ago, they said that it was WWE. So, hey, you're elevating because boxing is a little higher in the pecking order.
The next one will be UFC.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
There we go.
Right.
That'll be the next one.
Well, Eric, thank you so much for taking the time to meet with us. We're big fans of your company and what you guys are doing, and we want to talk about everything from your business and how you've been handling the current crisis. But we'd love to start with just a little background on you and your personal journey and how you got to where you are as a master brewer and distiller at Karrikin Spirits.
Sure. Yeah, you guys kind of talked about it. First of all, I'm a Cincinnati native, and I went to Moeller High School, graduated, went to school at University of Utah. Like you said, got my degree in archaeology, and once I graduated, I didn't know really what to do. As most people that graduate in anthropology, you don't know what to do. So I was either go back to school or do something else. And my wife actually bought me homebrewing equipment, and I started homebrewing. And at that time, this was in the early 2000s when craft brewing was just starting to get going again. And I just wanted to get my foot in anywhere. I was willing to wash kegs, make soda, do whatever I could do to just get in a brewery, And fortunately, we found a brewery up at Grand Teton in Idaho, and that's where I started, just washing the kegs and cleaning floors and, just learning from mentors.
So you went straight from Utah to Idaho.
Yeah. Then I was following like this little brewery at the time, Oscar Blues, and they were kind of making some headways because they were the first craft brewery in the U.S. to put beer in a can. So, I was like, man, I want to jump on board with these guys because they're going somewhere. And I started with them when they were a really small brewery. And then by the end of it all, I was a part of managing both breweries in North Carolina and Colorado, and just saw a really explosive growth, really crazy time in the industry, especially with craft beer in a can. We went from being seen as a gimmick to an industry leader, within years. It was wild. So then, I wanted to come back to Cincinnati and come back to my hometown and do something here. And, I met up with Jeff Hunt, my other partner, and, we started Karrikin Spirits, and it was primarily to kind of pivot from the craft beer world. We were, my partner Jeff founded Mad Tree as well. And, we just wanted to, do something different to craft beer. We saw an opportunity in spirits, and we were kind of in that realm and kind of going that way anyways. And decided to open this place up. And I would say we're not necessarily specifically a distillery, but a flavor house. Because we make a lot of different beverages. We make non-alcoholic sodas. We make the ready-to-drink cocktails in a can. We also make our spirits, and, we're brewers at heart as well, so we make beer. So we kind of have something for everybody here. And we also have a really cool pub where you kind of could come in and experience small plates and a really great cuisine and pair that off with the cocktails and everything else.
That's awesome. It's funny because we travel quite a bit as a team here, across the country and for different events and with different partners and clients. And we're always telling people, you guys are sleeping on Cincinnati as a beer town, as a brewery town, as a local cocktail spirit town. Yeah. And people, we have to try to convince America. I mean, why don't people know yet that Cincinnati has such, a history and heritage and passion for brewing and for creating?
If you look at Cincinnati, we've had a really rich brewing tradition and distilling. If you look back with the Kuipers, National Distillers, and and a lot of that kind of went away. And as breweries started taking out the kind of smaller breweries in town, I'm talking Shameling, Beautiful, Burger, those breweries went away as the bigger guys came in, and kind of the craft brewing industry or all the brewing industry went away for a while, and then it, kind of picked back up again. And I think, honestly, Cincinnati was a little later than a lot of states or cities coming on the craft beer kind of movement. I talked about in like 2004 and 2005, I was starting in craft beer again. And at that time in Cincinnati, it was still kind of just getting going again. And I think it was a little late to bloom, but it's kind of interesting, talking about the history of stuff where Karrikin's at. we actually sit on what was a guy named Joseph Ferris's land. And Joseph Ferris was one of the original settlers in Cincinnati.
Whiskey Hollow.
Settled in this area. Yeah, exactly.
Sounds cool.
So we're sitting on, land that a pioneer was distilling on, and it's kind of cool to be a part of that history here as well,
Yeah.
So this guy, Joseph Ferris, was making corn whiskey and putting it in clay pots and sending it down the river to Mississippi and New Orleans, and pretty wild that we're just a stone's throw. We're actually on his old property.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
a
awesome.
lot of history in the area.
Before we get into what you guys are doing today and how everything with coronavirus has affected you and your business and your team, I thought that something that was really cool is that Karrikins are actually the elements found in the smoke from a forest fire that trigger the regeneration of the forest. I thought that was so cool.
Yeah, it was honestly, it's funny when you start a business, the first thing you do is, what's our name? What are we going to call ourselves? And, we had hundreds of names, and Karrikin was honestly was the first name that we came up with. And really it was all of us coming together, and, we all were coming from different backgrounds. I mean, we have a pretty extensive ownership team, besides Jeff and I in the beverage world. We also have someone that came from Panera that was, head of like plants and logistics with Panera. We have someone that has the general contractor in town with Fulton Record. We have another guy that has a manufacturing business in cabinetry. So, we came together with a lot of diverse backgrounds, but we were starting something new. So it was kind of like burning down things, burning down our lives. I quit my what I call my real job, to start this thing. And so we were just all kind of burning it down and starting something new. And it kind of segues into kind of what we're going through right now. I mean, like everything as it's kind of, I would say burning down, but parallels in that, we're going to regenerate. We're going to regrow this company, and we're going to help to grow the community.
Share with our listeners a little bit about, the pivot that Karrikin has made during this pandemic and how you've been able to, continue on operating your business.
And just to jump in, Vikas, also just how has the business been affected?
I would say our story is a lot like every other business, in that every day you found out something new with how things were going to come down the line.
Right.
We were kind of up doing sales in Cleveland. We just opened Cleveland, and we were up there doing ride-alongs with these guys, seeing all these accounts right before St. Patty's Day. I mean, people were ordering up 40 kegs of Guinness thinking they were still going to have a parade in Cleveland, and then they canceled the parade. So all the guys in the bars outside of the parade area thought maybe they'd be busier. Right. So they bought more beer. And then by the end of the week, they shut the bars down. We were just kind of watching things as they went. And
Ohio was one of the first, maybe the first. I think Ohio was the first state to shut all the bars down.
On that Sunday when we found out we were going to have to shut down our tap room and restaurant, we were like, okay, we need to pivot and do something. So we fortunately were able to just, overnight we kind of became sanitizer experts, if you will. I mean, I'm used to buying 750 milliliter liquor bottles, and now I'm trying to find 7 ounce or 6 ounce and 2 ounce spray bottles with fine mist sprayers by the thousands, hundreds of thousands, you know. And we're going through the same thing every other company is going through. Nobody thought that, we should stock up on things like a fine mist sprayer.
Right.
Maybe there's going to be a worldwide pandemic and there's going to be billions needed. So, we're just trying to procure these like raw materials and pivoting and finding out legally what we're allowed to do because, there's certain permits and stuff that you have to get through the TTB, the Tax and Trade Bureau, to manufacture this because you're bringing ethanol in or producing ethanol for sanitizer. So, it overnight, like I said, we changed as a company. And, the immediate thing was we really wanted to just get it out there to help society. That's the main relief effort is to get the sanitizer into people's hands that are essential to everyday life and business and that are going to have the biggest impact on people. So like,
awesome.
Like Amazon or Kroger or places where these people are in contact with hundreds and hundreds of people daily. So that was the initial thing with the humanitarian side.
Are you guys selling like directly to Kroger to buy, in bulk for their like employees and things like that? Are you or are you just focus on that group of people, but enabling just the regular consumer customer to buy it for themselves?
Gotcha. Yeah, no, these are everything that's getting did right now is for employees, nothing for resale out of here. So everything we sell here goes directly to the person using it. And since Kroger is going to have all their employees use it, like people running cash registers or stocking shelves or things like that. It's just the trickle down. Everybody's out of supplies, and these people are in contact, like I said, with all these people day to day. Initially, we kind of started it as, maybe we'll make a couple batches, and we did a press release, and the next day the phone wouldn't stop ringing. We went from thinking, we'll get a couple orders where what we do get, we'll do something with, and then it became like a whole thing overnight. It's been wild. I mean, I can't. Jeff and I still look at each other, my other partner, like, is this really happening?
Right.
I mean, there's just people are coming out from all over the U.S. saying, we'll take as much as you can produce. And we're a relatively small distillery, but, we can produce about 800 gallons of sanitizer a week. And before it's even made, it's spoken for. And so I guess what I'm getting at is we created an infrastructure then to handle the orders and handle like how we were doling it out, because we didn't want to just give it to one large customer and they would consume the entire. We tried to be very strategic with how we did it. We have a sign up form, like you go to Sanitizer at Karrikinspirits.com, and that's like the sign up form. And basically from there, as rations come around, they get divvied out. And it's a really difficult choice to say no to one person and yes to another in such a critical time. But, we had to do something with the amount of response and with the limited amount of liquids. As
it started to grow and you've got orders and orders and orders coming in, where is it now? Are you guys, obviously you're helping people, which is great. Is it enabling you to kind of recover to recover in terms of the revenue that you would have lost or that you have lost with the pandemic? Or
it's kind of a mixed bag. It goes into a couple different silos. We honestly started it because we knew we were going to have to lay a bunch of people off. As a restaurant, we had to lay off 29 people. Jeff and I as owners laid ourselves off so that we could at least keep some essential personnel on board. Like Jeff and I made sacrifices ourselves. So what, things that we're doing for the time being, we're keeping like for employees like healthcare rolling. We're trying to do what we can to support these employees, and we're really only a week and a half into these sales. And so we're just kind of navigating these waters, but basically as we kind of can forecast maybe a little bit further out, we can start to make more strategic moves on where all the proceeds go, because a lot of it, like I said, we're just, one, trying to stay afloat like everybody else.
Right.
And so a lot of that just goes to your general house cleaning and house bills. And then it kind of just goes from there. And, even as we're buying the supplies, we still, that costs money too. So it's just,
have you guys experienced some of that, what we talked about it, prior to bringing you on, about how alcohol sales are up across the board in a lot of places, at least the general overall data. Have you guys experienced that boost as well?
I was listening to that, and we've seen like a bump. I mean, I would say we've seen a bump, but it's kind of interesting out there because, what our sales reps, they're still going out in the markets. They're still seeing people that they can, but like what we've seen is like the smaller gas stations and stuff, and some of the more less traveled areas are not getting much traffic, whereas like the convenience stores and stuff are really getting slammed. But, we also lost most of our business, which was selling to bars and restaurants.
Right.
So, I mean, yes, we've seen an increase in package sales, but there's still a shortfall on the other side of our business.
And that's a consistent thing that we've seen. We were talking on episode 4 with a food company that they've benefited from the stockpiling on the grocery side, but they've been hurt with the business on the B2B side. Yeah. And for them, B2B was like, airlines and things like that. And for you guys, it's the bars and restaurants. So, it's just that thing where, you look at the numbers and you say, okay, well, maybe this company is actually able to get through this without too much pain, but there's so many sides to it,
Yeah, I mean, anywhere you look, everybody's affected in any light. It's
right.
I even have friends in Europe I talk to in Germany, and they're going through the same things we are.
Right.
It's just and talking about the supply chain, and borders and what it takes to get supplies into people, and all that, and how this might change how people look on sustainability as a country, or how many borders your goods want to cross before they get to you, or a lot of things like that. There's just a lot of different kind of breweries and beverage manufacturers out there, like the corner pub that doesn't really have much distribution, and hopefully people go in and hopefully it's a nice day, but on rainy days, no one's really coming in, and it's just kind of, everybody's just in there fighting a good fight every day,
I know that before COVID-19, you guys had 35 employees, and you said you had to lay off 29, which obviously is a huge amount. I know that something has been tough for you. You have to lay off yourself as a founder. So, I mean, what was that like? I mean, how did you guys handle that process?
Yeah, I mean, it's honestly, it's awful. It's something you never want to do as a business owner. It's something you never thought you'd be doing.
Right.
It's just a very surreal moment. But we were faced with really no choice. We're a startup. We started a year and a half ago. Everything we've made, we put back in the company. We don't have the war chest, and even companies that have a war chest, nobody really knows where this thing's going to end out or when or how,
Right.
And so, first we broke it to the managers and just kind of broke it down through there. And, but we've been trying to help employees out if they have questions with unemployment or things like that, trying to speed up that process, which the state's Ohio is just slammed with unemployment. I mean, you can't get an answer back or anything. So,
right.
But no, it was just awful.
Did you guys have to do that on like a Google Hangout or a video or a Zoom call or something like that?
No, we just disseminated it out through the managers and got everybody together, and that was it. And then we, since we've been doing, we do have some excess food, and so we've been doing. We used to do like feed the crew every day at 4. So we've been once a week or so. We've been doing rationing out like some of the food that might expire, and like we've been having employees come in and they can grab food. So we've been keeping in touch with our employees and keeping them in the loop as things develop.
And is your hope to bring the majority of them back?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, 100%. Our goal is to bring people back. Hopefully, all of them. And
right.
Whoever wants to come back. And we've also applied for like the Paycheck Protection Program. But that's our paperwork still at the bank. We don't really know when that's going to come through. Right. And so once that starts hitting, we'll bring more people back. And as the sanitizer sales look like they're going to be consistent for the next couple of weeks, we'll start to bring more people back. Mm-hmm. So, our intent is to bring everybody back as we can. And the hardest part as a business owner is just, and this is for everybody, is just not knowing what's next.
Right.
There's no predictability. There's no every day is new norm. So,
right. And
Eric, that's the biggest part.
Right. And Eric, when the governor, when the states start to lift some of these social distancing guidelines, it's obviously going to be done a little bit in phases. Do you see that your operation will still be producing hand sanitizers along with the spirits, or what do you see as far as what that transition looks like?
Yeah, I think that we will continue to make sanitizer. Maybe not in the quantities because we have certain capacity, issues. Right. But once we start to get into the other product mixes, but our intention is to and eventually get it out to sell it at convenience stores and other places around town because I don't think sanitizer is not going to really go away in the next month or two.
Right.
People are still going to be very concerned about like just sanitation and health and all that. So. And the thing we don't know is, and honestly, we're going to keep this in the wheelhouse is, if there's another resurgence and this is like Groundhog Day, we've got to be ready to go again if that's the case. So made us think a lot about also kind of on a pivot to the conversation is just how to operate business and what to do with your money and cash flow and how aggressive you want to be on expansion year to year.
Right.
Yeah, we've been talking about that a lot, about how important cash in hand is at a time like this, and this is going to be one of those moments where people rethink that, because right now, I mean, having a healthy balance sheet is so important because it's enabling you to make, as a business owner, enabling you to make decisions and protect your team and do things that you couldn't do otherwise.
Yeah, and for us, since like you're mentioning the ready to drink cocktails, it's a very innovative segment we're in. So like this is just an example. So for us, it makes sense to be very aggressive and trying to get into every market that we can as fast as possible, cover a lot of ground with that, so we can kind of box competitors out. But that said, that requires a lot of money and to put back into the infrastructure.
Right.
So it's like, okay, well, if we wanted to grow by X, maybe we need to readjust that number and grow by Z.
Right.
And just kind of just thinking about that, or where we decide to make an investment in money or tie up capital.
I really believe one of the other silver linings of this pandemic is that it's forcing all of us as entrepreneurs and business owners to be much more maniacal about the details, much more strategic, and much more focused on the decisions that we're making. I know that we are, but we have to take it to a different level because we understand that we're working within an environment, a climate that is so uncertain, and we have to, every choice matters so much right now. Some of the aggressive choices we might have made 6 months ago, 6 weeks ago, we're thinking differently of. So I think but I do believe that we're going to see great innovation out of it. Yep. I think we're going to see. I mean, you guys are an example of not only innovation but great strategic agility. Because you guys have pivoted the business to be able to meet a consumer demand. And also, I think that you guys are going to think of, you're going to learn some things in this process due to the resilience necessary to succeed that are going to help you. And you're going to look back in like 3, 4, 5 years and be like, man, if it wasn't for coronavirus, we wouldn't have done this and we wouldn't have been where we are today.
Yeah, it's just the time for everybody in your organization to flex, right? So, luckily we have, like I said, a pretty diverse group of owners. And so everybody's kind of been able to tackle different projects. Like Jeff and I have been kind of leading the front on Sanitizer, as far as like production management, getting all the raw materials. The other business partner was working on like the paycheck protection loan. We have another partner working on some other things. Like, luckily, we have those people in our circle because it would be a lot for just, I think about smaller companies that it's maybe 2 people running the whole thing. And luckily, we have some people with some expertise in areas that can really help out.
And the cool thing is you're learning all these new skills that you're forced to learn.
Right.
I learned so much on the times when I was forced to learn some shit. You know what I mean? Like I wouldn't have done it on my own, but I had to, and that helped us grow.
Yeah, and kind of I'm a history guy, archaeology, history, my background. So it's very interesting because I was at Bardstown Distillery, years ago, and we got a cool tour, and the person talked about the history of the place, and actually during World War II, when rations were short on ethanol, they actually started producing ethanol for the government, for medicine, and for explosives and things like that, and I kind of look at it now. It's like we're being called upon as a nation or as entrepreneurs to basically battle this, and it's like our civic call to duty, if you will. And this isn't uncommon or in the U.S.'s history. This has happened before, and it's kind of I never thought I would see history repeat itself in that range with me in distilling, but here we are.
Right. Archaeology. What would Indiana Jones do? Yeah. What would Indy do now? Right.
Eric, thank you for spending, a little bit of your day with us. We know you guys are super busy. We got one last question for you. What do you see is the post-coronavirus world for you all?
Yeah, I think ideally we get everybody back. We hit the ground running. We started to expand into Cleveland, and we've been looking at Chicago and Florida. Ideally, we just pick up where we left off. But there's going to be some changes. We've already talked about in the restaurant, maybe, some different sanitation things, distancing things in the restaurant. I mean, we're not going to just open the restaurant up like normal. I mean, we're going to go through and make it the safest place as possible, And so I think a lot of businesses are going to start looking at that.
Yep.
We have events where we'll have a couple hundred people in here.
We've been talking to a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of leaders in hospitality, where we're all wondering what that's going to be like. Yeah. And obviously, we know sanitation and cleanliness and the focus on immunity, those types of things, that they're here to stay. I mean, we've all been massively affected by this this event, so those are here to stay. But I mean, how do you feel it's going to be when you first open the doors again?
I don't know. I mean, I go from is this going to be like when Prohibition lifted? And people are just going to be like, going nuts,
mad dashing to the bar.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, are we going to have riots, or is it going to be people, like you said, are a little more gun shy? Who knows, right? New norm.
Right.
But, when the time comes, we'll be ready to open, and we'll be doing it in a safe, sanitary manner, and kind of keeping different guidelines in place. And, for instance, we've already been looking at mechanisms that open doors, bathroom doors and things for you, so you don't have to touch doors. Just things like that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We used to have paper menus. Do we go to a different kind of menu that's easier to wipe down? I mean, they're just, just details.
I think one of the biggest things that are going to happen is that people, customers, consumers, they're going to remember those companies and those brands that stood out from the rest and tried to help during this time. I really believe this is a time for brands to drive the message of who they are, on why they do what they do, their values, their principles. And because you and the team at Karrikin Spirits pivoted your company in a way that's helping people, I really believe, Eric, that people are going to remember that, and it's going to help you down the road. And I know everybody in this room, we're looking at a bunch of guys here, and we're all going to remember, and we appreciate what you've done, and we're going to be fans and customers in the weeks and months and years ahead. So thank you for what you guys are doing.
That. Yeah. No, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Eric, thank you so much for being on the show today. We wish you and your entire Karrikin Spirits family the best of luck. Thank you very much, and please be safe.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you. Thanks, Eric.
Man, I mean, just thinking back, like all of the businesses that have had to pivot, think fast, and change their model to be able to adapt to what's going on right now. In my mind, it's crazy to even fathom what it is.
Yeah, but I mean, you're experiencing it too, right?
Yeah.
We're all experiencing it too, because we've been a part of that. And I respect it so much for all these people who've been hit with something they didn't know was coming. And they said very quickly, how can we, 1, protect our team, 2, protect our business, and 3, position ourselves best to grow after this is over? Right. And I always say, we pivoted. I mean, we pivoted multiple times at Besomebody, BSB. We had to shift and change our model when things weren't working, and sometimes because it was all for our fault, and sometimes because it was no fault of our own.
So, Kash, speaking with Eric, what's the one big thing for our listeners?
Honestly, the thing that came to mind as Eric was talking was that there's only 2 points that matter: the moment and the vision. The moment and the vision. The moment is, what are you doing right now?
Right.
What are you focusing on? What are you pouring your energy into? What are the strategies that you are turning into execution to ensure that you're doing the right thing right now? Right. Everything that you can control. And the vision is that beautiful place that you want to get to, that beautiful thing that you want to create, right? And everything in the middle doesn't matter. You can't get attached to it. Because, I mean, I'm telling you, Eric didn't think he was going to be selling sanitizer, hand sanitizer 60 days ago, 30 days ago. There's no way he thought about that. Right. If Eric and people and entrepreneurs like him were so fixed and fixated on, let me just keep doing what I was doing, they wouldn't make it.
Yeah.
You have to be able to say, okay, what I got to do right now. The world has changed. The environment has changed. The challenges have changed. I got to make some quick decisions right now to drive the business, to help my team, to keep the vision alive. And what is the vision? I see it out there. We want to be a great, brewery. We want to be a great business. We want to be a multi-million-dollar agency. We want to be $1 billion company. Fine, keep the vision.
Yeah.
I'm not saying let go of the vision, but no, your 2-month plan that you had, you can't keep it anymore. One of the biggest things I had to do when we pivoted the company was get rid of our app. You look it up, the Be Somebody app, the original Be Somebody app, man. And that was my baby. I mean, like, getting rid of that app was painful for me. It literally was like I shed tears about it. I debated with myself about it. I didn't want to do it because, I spent so much time with my brother, really, me and Rick and a few other people. We built that, and I didn't want to let it go. But I knew if I didn't let it go, we ended up selling it to a company in Denver called Utivity. If we didn't end up doing that, we wouldn't be where we are today. We sold that, got a little cash in hand, a little capital to enable us to pivot. And then we ended up pivoting a couple more times to get to where we are today. Moving out of our first office in Austin,
was awesome.
It was so cool, man. I that was an emotional experience. I brought in people to paint every wall with the story. Every wall had a story. I had Henry Cejudo on one wall. I had, the graffiti tour on another wall. I mean, every wall was a story, man. And when I had to leave that office, man, it was painful. But I did it, and I moved from Austin to Boston because I knew I needed to grow. And what I learned along the way is, you have to be able to let go of that middle part. Because no matter whether it's life or business, we all kind of plan out like the next steps. We're saying, okay, this is going to happen, and this is going to happen, this is going to happen. Yeah. And it's good to do that. But if you get too locked in to each step in the process, then you limit yourself because shit ain't going to always go right. And if that doesn't go right, and that's the only step that you allow yourself to take, it's over. So you have to know, what am I doing today, the moment, and why am I building this? And who am I building this for? That's the vision. And the talk with Eric, the conversation with Eric, reminded me of how important it is to remember there's only 2 points that matter, man. The moment and the vision.
Moment and the vision. Thank you for sharing that with us. Thank you, everyone, for listening to episode 5 of the Be Somebody Podcast. Don't forget to check us out at besomebody.com for all of our audio and video episodes, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all of the major podcast streaming apps. We out.
You.